you watching Talking About? I'm John Griffith, and look who's with me.
Hi, John.
It's Mr. JC Alvarez. Welcome. It's been a long, long time.
Well, it's good to see you, especially given the circumstances. It's like, we can play like we're the Brady Bunch. The Brady.
And you look
Because
up
we're
and you look
Zoom.
down.
Yeah, because we're Zooming. We're Zooming. It's the whole new world. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Yeah, it's like I'm writing this thing out in the Miami area. You're still in New York, right?
Yes, yes. Still here in New York City. I don't know if they're still calling this sort of ground zero for the whole COVID experience, but yeah, it's a strange world for the hustle and bustle that we're accustomed to in New York City. It's very different. This isolation is changing the way we look at the city for sure.
It is, and then just I know a lot of people who get out late at night or live in the Manhattan vicinity. Yeah,
Mhm.
say they're taking and posting pictures of the city in what's usually the hustle and bustle and crossroads of the world. You see photos of Times Square completely
Yeah,
empty, just different landmarks. I mean, it's beautiful and it's stunning, but it's also jaw dropping in the
yeah,
absence of humanity.
yeah. I mean, it's like we're accustomed New York City with having so much energy. I mean, even the outer boroughs and I haven't really ventured out much because we do have the whole restrictions, and we're sort of like self-isolating and keeping things covered and all when we head outside. um but it is sort of the city is so muscular. It's usually got a whole bunch of things happening, especially this time of year. It's
Mhm.
springtime, and it's slowed down. It's slowed down, and I think that that's a good thing. I think the slowing down of the city is letting nature and everyone that has to take care of this, and all the frontline fighters that are doing this,
Mhm.
that are in it. It's giving them the space to kind of like work and focus and concentrate, because we all know, we always talk about how New York City is buzzing, like it has a vibration to it. And I think we've kind of dulled that vibration so that everyone who needs to heal can focus
Right.
on that healing.
Because I mean, us just being who we are, it's like we've seen the city shut down once before in our lifetime, and that was only for about 3 days, and
Yeah,
then it ramped up. This is two,
yeah,
3 months going on more.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's extremely surreal, especially like when you have to, we take so many things for granted, as far as like, because New York City, for all intents and purposes, it's one of those all access cities. Like,
Mhm.
you can get anything really quickly. And I've got a routine now, and it's kind of like I'm in this whole new routine where, like, even like on Tuesday mornings, I go to the grocery store like at 7 o'clock in the morning, where
Right.
there's very few people around. And it's you're seeing people sort of like navigate things very slowly, but it's you get into a rhythm.
Right. I mean, we have Wednesday grocery day. Yeah, so we make our three stops. It's like the major supermarket for this. Yeah, we follow the sales. So it's like we go where this is cheapest, where this is cheapest, and where
Yeah,
this is cheapest, and then it's back home for pretty much the rest of the week.
yeah,
We're very fortunate that we have a little bit of green space, and being Florida, it's warmer than it had been in New York.
yeah.
So, but I mean, it's like I'm not going to whine about the pool being closed because that's just
No, no,
yeah.
yeah.
I am
Yeah.
I'm
Go ahead. I'm
lucky.
sorry.
I'm lucky.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
fortunate that we are able to go grocery shopping. I'm fortunate that we're lucky enough to have a full freezer, and I'm lucky that we were able to buy ourselves masks and gloves when this hit, because a
yeah.
lot of people weren't, and they're still difficult to find in some places.
Yeah, it's amazing how adaptive you have to be if this is the new normal for now. This is sort of like how we're interpreting our new normal. But it's certainly an interesting lesson. I don't, I think I'm really grateful for the way that the governor and the mayor have kind of like taken the lead and given us all the information, because then we can make our own
Mhm.
assessment of what to do. and then share that with our families. I mean, it's like, my family, as you know, is down in South Florida, so it's,
Mhm.
it's a very different arena how, for example, we're doing it up here in the East, and how things are being handled in South Florida.
Yeah, well, that's
Just
where
be,
I am. I'm in South Florida.
yeah. And
So
you guys have eased up a lot of the restrictions, where
uh,
we kind of
nationwide, most of them
haven't.
have, and then as we're taping this in what's today, May 16th, that we're taping
Hmm.
this. Restrictions in the Miami and vicinity cities are going to start easing up next week. So by the time this hits the internet and the airwaves, things will be easing up. I think that, gyms are opening up at half capacity, and the pool that I was complaining about earlier is supposed to be opening up, but uh, I'm not sure if it's both too soon and not soon enough.
Right.
I'd say for the
Yeah.
mental state, it's like, yes, I want everything back the way it was, but my brain also knows that we need to take these precautions. And I think personally, and from my friends who are in the medical field, that it may be going a little bit too quickly in the name of the almighty dollar.
Yeah, that's so true. It's kind of like, I mean, I'm grateful for the decision to sort of ease some things, but being up here in New York, where it's sort of like it's there's still a lot of restrictions. Like, we are going to have some openings around Memorial Day weekend, but we're not anticipating that it'll be a full on. There are going to be a lot of restrictions. The beaches will be opening up. You can't sunbathe, which is going to be, you're going to wonder how people are going to behave, how that's going to relate. Entertainment, we both work in entertainment, and it's sort of
Mhm.
like seeing how entertainment has had to sort of like evolve and change. And that's, it's significant just what's become available, and just how the entertainment community has adapted
Yeah, well, that's one of the
to
things that I
this.
really wanted to talk about today. It's like,
Mhm.
it's like how is not just the way we produce entertainment going to
Mhm.
change, because that's got to change. It's like,
Yeah.
especially daytime drama.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I think what we've learned, um, which may or may not be a good thing overall, is as content producers, we can work from home. I've been working from home with major deadlines now
Mhm.
for 2 months, as opposed to being in a studio, or going to an office, um, in the city. And we're getting a lot of work done, which, you kind of imagine that I couldn't have, I mean, I've been working in this business for 20 years, and I didn't imagine I'd ever be able to work this easily at home.
Mhm.
And I am, and it's really kind of exciting. And if this is the new normal, well, then we have to adjust, because I mean, it's like, in any time of crisis that America's ever faced, entertainment is one of the things that doesn't go away. It actually increases, because people need diversions.
Right, and it
You know,
pulls
they
us out.
they need
Right
them.
now, it's like productions have stopped.
Productions have stopped. Right now they're slow crawl openings. They're projecting that productions can go back into to with a lot of restrictions in July. They're anticipating. A lot of the fall schedule has been pushed to January for network televisions, which won't get back on set, they're estimating, until about like August, September,
Which is
which is
about
weird.
6 weeks later than normal.
Of course, yes, because usually the shows that start shooting or that start airing in the fall go into production in late June or July.
Mhm.
They start shooting their new seasons. They're not going to be doing that right now, but a lot of networks have already projected their schedules for January. A lot of their shows will be coming back in January for their new seasons, which is great. I think for everyone involved with production, to know that that's going to be happening, it's fantastic. For me on this end, it means I won't have an influx of new stuff to work on. I mean, I'm working now, but I probably won't get hit with new stuff to work on until the fall, which is usually the time where we're kind of like, oh, we're taking a break. We don't.
Right, it's just a little pushed, but I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
well, you take a second to breathe before you get ambushed, because you know what's going to be coming. And well, at least hopefully. And take live music and theater has
Yeah.
also Yes, I know. I think the first Broadway show to announce a closure is Frozen,
Yeah,
which had been open
yeah.
for what, just over a year.
Just over a year, and had been doing really well on Broadway, and it's kind of sad how live theater is taking such a hit. But you wonder how if they'll ever be able to like pull those productions back up again, or how quickly they will, especially with so many restrictions on people gathering. Because I mean, theater is an interactive and it's communal
Hmm.
experience for the people on stage and for the audience. So look how many concerts were projected to go in the fall. I mean, Lady Gaga, Janet Jackson were scheduled to take on these huge world tours, and from what I understand, they're paused until
Because
further
in
notice.
artists' income, as far at least the music community,
Sure.
it doesn't come from the sale of music anymore. It comes from the tour.
Correct. Yeah, and merchandising. And if they can't go out there and sell their goods, they're not going to be making much money. so,
Right. I
so
mean,
it's
we're seeing a lot of artists do free live streams now. Do you think that's
yeah.
going to possibly convert to for pay live streams in the near future?
Yeah. I hope I think so. I think that the new wave, I mean, I've always been, and this, we've been doing multimedia production and dealing in the multimedia realm even before, streaming hit, and
Mhm.
streaming has become such a big deal. But I think that now what's opening up for artists, for content creators, is the fact that we do have these platforms, these new opportunities and platforms, and navigating them is kind of like a whole new world. I do hope that some of these artists will venture to do that. One of the things that has taken a major hit is a lot of the summer and spring conventions that happen, like San Diego Comic Con and South by
I'm
Southwest.
sure New
All
York will be
these,
hit also.
of course, because I mean, it's like you can't control these gatherings, but there's already alternatives that have surfaced. A lot of the, San Diego Comic Con is not happening, but a lot of the convention promoters have taken on to what they call virtual conventions. So they actually have been gathering like, fan favorite casts and having them Zoom, and
Hmm.
then opening it up to fans, so that they can talk and chat with the cast from their favorite shows in a limited experience, as opposed to gathering in a convention hall. And I hope that becomes a trend. I hope that that's something that opens up, because conventions, of all those degrees, the media industry depends on them so much, not only to generate excitement for new shows, but also to keep the audiences engaged. And now we just have to evolve. It has to change. It has to come into something new. And it's a wide range of opportunity. I think I like looking at those things as opportunity. It's we just have to change our thinking.
It is. I mean,
And
so the whole atmosphere is going to change drastically in the near future. Some of it will swing back going forward, but I'd say the way we consume film, the way we consume theater, the way we consume music is going to be definitely impacted. And it's not necessarily bad. It's just different.
it's just different. It's just different. I really appreciate the fact that a lot of the major studios have decided to release their new films direct to video or even rent. Um, I appreciate that. I think that that's the way to go. So many of us have large screen TVs and theater setups at home that it doesn't diminish the experience. I mean, there's something exciting about seeing something on a big screen, of course. But I appreciate that some of the studios are saying, hey, I know you were looking forward to this film. We can't release it in theaters because of what's going on, but here, pay this one price and see it in the comfort of your home. I just saw, the new Warner Brothers animated film Scoob, which, came out, and it was supposed to come out in theaters. And I just saw it this week. And I mean, not only did I enjoy it, but I also sat back. I thought it was a great film, but I sat back and I went, I'm so glad I got to see this on the day that it was supposed to be released in theaters. I'm glad I got to
Right.
see it, and I was anticipating it, and I'm glad I got it. And if that's going to be the new normal, well, I can live with that. I
Yeah.
can, you know.
I said that's you've used it a couple of times, and it's like the phrase "the new normal" is it's like it's thrown up everywhere. It's like I think I'm not criticizing you, but I'm just
Mhm.
I'm tired of hearing it, and I'm tired
Yeah,
of the commercials that begin with
yeah,
these uncertain times, or in times such as
yeah,
these, or
yeah.
there's a
Because that's how The Walking Dead began. Oh, in times like these, cut to zombie apocalypse. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, and it's so funny because it's, you know what it is. It's like we hear it so much, it gets ingrained in our heads,
Mhm.
and you know, it shouldn't be the new normal. I mean, you know, I don't want this to be my new normal, but you know, I have to accept that for now, in order for me to function in society, this is what I have to do.
Right. We both want to stay healthy.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, you know, we were talking earlier before we went live, how, you know, it's even, you know, there's this stress about going to see your, you know, your doctor for your annual visit. And it's sort of like, this was that time of year that used to just like eye roll, like, oh, I gotta go in for my eye.
Yeah.
And now there's this stress of like, oh, I gotta get in the subway, or I gotta get to the office, and you know, how many people are going to be in that, in the waiting room. And it's sort of like there's this stress involved with what's happening, but patience.
Yes. But but if I don't hear in these uncertain times again for a while, I don't like that phrase as much as I don't like, "Hi, I'm Alfonso, and there's more to me." I get
Yes,
so tired of that commercial.
yes. And I love his dog. He's so happy he's gonna take his dog to work. It's like, good for Alfonso. It's like, good for him. It's like, looking at my dog sees, and he's like, why don't you take me to the office? Well, Henry, we're here.
Uh,
Yes, I know exactly what you mean.
but
Yes.
and it's important to keep a good mental attitude about it, because I think there's going to
Yeah.
be a big psychological impact for this
Yeah.
generation that's coming of age now, who are denied. People crave physical contact,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. 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 And I'm not, you know, it's so funny because it's sort of like, um, I, as much as I really like technology, um, I, I've realized how much I'm not, I'm not, I don't like the Zoom conferences. Like
Mhm.
it's sort of like, you know, I almost feel like anytime a family member like will like call me, or I see a FaceTime from a family member, I literally just go to audio. Like I'll go to voice, and they're like, "Oh, why don't you have your camera on?" And I'm like, "Because I think I'd rather hear your voice, because it's what I'm accustomed to." But it's sort of like, you know, this whole new, whether millennials are more acclimated to this because of
Well,
their
I
growing up
mean,
in the
millennials were
generation.
having cuddling parties before all this hit.
Yes, 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 yeah. But it's, you know, this sort of experience, to me, there's something that happens when you're in a room with creatives and you're working off of an energy in a conference room that I think hopefully we can return to in some way, shape, or form.
Even if it's just going in once a week for that big meeting, just
Yeah,
to be around and socialize and have that social
yeah,
aspect, and yeah, there's
yeah.
a lot of different levels to it.
Yeah, it's like, you know, I like my coworkers. You know, I like the routine of getting up, going to an office, and going into a building and seeing, you know, being able to see everyone's work. Like I like that.
Hmm.
And this isolation that I'm experiencing, I think almost, I think it limits my work, because when you're in an office situation, there's a lot of stuff that happens, a lot of brainstorming that happens just in your day to day, from jumping to have coffee with a colleague for like, you know, two
Yeah,
minutes.
it's like, hey, I'm
You know.
working on this, and this is
Mhm.
what I'm thinking. But if you add this, it'll be that and that much better. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's great. And you run back to your office and you steal their idea. right before the noon meeting.
I'm sure it flips both ways, though.
Yeah, of course, yeah. I mean, I miss that.
Mhm.
I do miss. It's funny because I'll get like notes on Teams or something from my colleagues, like, hey, I thought I had this idea, and they'll send me like a typed text on an idea, and I'll be like, oh wow, I love that, that's great. And then by the time I type back, oh wow, that's great, someone else has already like typed, oh wow, that's really great. It's like, oh, it just seems like I'm like, 8 steps behind somebody. So
That's where, yeah, and you can't exactly voice the text in a Zoom.
yeah, exactly.
Uh, but one thing, I mean, you're busy working, so that gives you some productivity throughout the day. A lot of people
Yeah,
are kind of stuck at home and stuck at consuming too much news,
yeah, yeah,
and you see
yeah,
that echo chamber play out on social media and everywhere.
yeah,
People are just getting stuck on certain details and stuck
yeah,
on certain news items, and the echo chamber is incredibly loud, especially since we're, you know, in an election year for our lives.
yeah. Oh yes, yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's
it's and we're both so steeped in current events and pop culture and politics. Yeah, it's hard to turn it off. Um, uh, but one of the things that I have been able to notice is a lot of the false information is rising to the top, and it's very easy to skim it. Like it's almost like I'm now. I think because we're home and we
Mhm.
do get news, I, the stuff that is not, the stuff that is the real fake news.
Right.
It's almost like, oh, that's not real. You get it quicker.
I think
Um,
after 2016, a lot of people know to check their sources now.
yeah, yeah,
If
yeah,
if
yeah.
you're looking at something that's, the trueamericanpatriot.com.net.info, it's probably a propaganda piece.
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing how, and it's a shame that because there is such a sect, and it's so funny because I'm listening to myself and I feel like I'm coming off so genteel when I actually am very angry about people that prefer to live in their ignorance.
Mhm.
And they're out there protesting their governors, and they're out there protesting their officials, demanding that they open the government. You have these protests that are happening by these groups that are clearly manufactured groups that they're
It's,
bought into
yeah,
by some conglomerate.
definitely
And
astroturf groups, and if you
yes,
chase if you
yeah,
chase the follow the money, really.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And then you read like 2 or 3 days or 4 days later, they have spikes in COVID cases or deaths in these areas. And then you like wonder, you like, did these people did they realize what they've wrought? This is what happened because they didn't practice what was being told. Hey, this is a safer practice, stay home, don't go out and protest,
Sure.
don't
Wearing a mask is
gather.
not a political act. Wearing a mask is an act of kindness for yourself and for those you care about.
Correct, yeah, absolutely. And it's and it's amazing how restrictive it is. It's we're having to communicate and with our neighbors behind these masks,
Mhm.
and they can't read you. So it's kind of like you have to keep everything very simple, very base, because you do want them to be, hey, I'm thinking of you, and I'm happy to see you, even though this is all you see. I'm trying to keep it safe. But yeah, it is disconcerting watching the news and trying to blot out what what shouldn't be
Which
hard
should,
hitting.
the misinformation from, false news sources, the misinformation
Yeah,
from the current administration.
yeah, yeah. And it's frightening how base the current administration is delivering their information. um it's like, and that to me is also really kind of frightening. It's sort of like you wonder, who the people that are digesting this. This is it's almost as if everything that's being said by the administration is just being delivered to them, and you like wonder, gosh, doesn't it concern you that the information you're getting is so distilled and so simplified
Mhm.
that there's, it's like you're being talked down to and you don't even realize it, and you think that that's all you need. You're not asking any other questions. It's really frightening. It's really,
Mhm.
it's an ugly state of things.
It is, and so if you go back to the late 30s, early 40s, the technology wasn't the same, but the messaging was very similar, and look what that brought. You know.
Yeah, yeah, and it's we're doomed. We're always, they say that you're doomed to repeat history if you didn't pay attention the first time. Well, hopefully, I'm hoping that in November people really kind of like pay attention and realize um, that this is not normal for so many
Hmm.
reasons. And just look at the facts. No one wants to look at there's a whole sect of the world that doesn't want to look at the fact, and it's being smoke screened for them. And it's sort of like, you read a book, educate yourself, get the facts, and realize that,
And look at more than one news source. I mean, even if
of
that news source
course.
is sometimes the opposite view that you have.
Mhm.
And it's like if you're a
Absolutely.
progressive, yes, look at Fox for 10 minutes a day. If you're a conservative, look at MSNBC for 15 minutes a day just to get a little bit of a different perspective.
Yeah. And realize that, that it's that you're not crazy. Sometimes you have to get those other perspectives to realize, oh, I am doing the right thing, or I am clear thinking.
Mhm.
I know that that's not true. I know that that's not right. You know,
Yeah. So I mean, getting back to voting, are you thinking of voting in person this year, or are you going to try to do absentee?
whatever it takes. Yeah, New York City has looked into mail-in voting, especially we have a Senate race coming up. We have some like an emergency voting that is coming up, and they are discussing mail-in ballots. I'll do whatever it takes. I mean,
Yeah.
I
Well,
really
I
like,
know New York, you can still put in for absentee,
yeah.
and you get the mail-in ballot. And I know here in Florida, they usually have early voting. I think about 2 weeks beforehand, and those
Yeah.
days are usually much less crowded.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that there was right before we had they were preparing for vote right before the COVID hit, and that had to be put off. And now a special election is coming up, and whatever it takes, I think I have confidence in going to the voting booth, and I will practice social distancing if I have to go there. But I am gonna go vote in any
Mhm.
which way, shape, or form, whether it's by mail or in person.
Right.
But I'm definitely making certain that I'm, voicing my vote. Yeah.
I think, and we all have to, and
Oh yeah,
I
yeah,
think that's a really important fact to end the conversation on. Is say this is a major election year. Say I know I'm hoping to throw this administration out on its butt, and I hope that the majority does as well.
yes,
But
yeah,
as Americans, we need to exercise our right to vote,
yeah,
no matter where we stand on the spectrum.
yes,
So,
yes. I'm going to do everything I can to bring down Space Force.
it's
We don't need Space
well, no,
Force.
it's like somebody posted a while ago when all the Space Force stuff was just coming to light that every time you say Space Force, you just have to go pew pew.
We don't need Space Force. There's
we
nothing
already, we
out
already have
there.
NASA.
There's nothing out there coming. Not yet. They're keeping their
Yeah,
distance.
give it time. But I'm really grateful to have the time to talk to you on camera. It's like I miss your face.
I miss your face, and if this is the new normal,
In these
this
uncertain
is
times.
in these uncertain times. This is the way to do it, and I think that this is a great way to get out to the audience, and and say hi to everyone, and and get conversations going, and because I think that's what we've always wanted to do with this platform is have people involved in the conversation and interact.
Mhm.
And this is the way to do it. This is
Right.
how we can all engage.
So again, well, thank you very much. I hope we can do another check-in in a few weeks. That would be great.
Of course. Yeah. And maybe Henry will get him off his keister, and he's he's not gonna get
He's
off his
retired now.
keister. He's fine.
Well, thank you again. I'm John Griffith,
And I'm JC Alvarez.
and I will see you next time. And hopefully, JC will be back again real soon.